So, in the last video, I spoke about the dying art of listening. And in this one, I want to talk about how we can become better active listeners. But before I get into that, I want to share that one moment where I finally decided that this is a skill that I want to cultivate. I wasn't born a great listener. It's not a skill that I always had inherently. It's a skill that I developed after this moment. So I remember I was sitting on the dining table with my dad and we were having lunch and I was sharing a point of view with him. And just as I would finish my point of view, he would share his. And then I would share mine and we just kept going back and forth, back and forth. And I remember I realized I felt like I wasn't feeling heard and understood. It felt like he was listening to me to respond, not to understand me. And in that moment, I had an epiphany that just like I am not feeling heard and understood, maybe by doing exactly what he's doing, he is also not feeling heard and understood. And so I decided in that very moment that I am going to create that space for others. They create the space that I crave so much, the space of being heard and being understood and getting that presence from someone to just express. I decided in that moment that I am going to create that space for others. And that's how my journey started on being a good active listener. हमें स्कूल में रीडिंग राइटिंग स्पीकिंग तो सिखाया जाता है बट nobody really teaches us how to listen. There's just this assumption that this is something that we learn along the way, but that's not happening. So this is my attempt to help you all understand how we can develop the skill. And the genuine reason why I want to share this with you is because the moment that I picked up this skill, my life literally changed. I have had such wonderful conversations with, of course, my friends and my family, but also random strangers who have felt comfortable to come and share things with me. It has helped me understand the world a lot better because instead of being the one expressing, I am the one who's being expressed to. And that has opened up my world to many perspectives, many views. It's made me less judgmental because I now understand that everybody, the way that they act, the point of view that they have, there is a very specific reason behind it. In their head, in everybody's head, our point of view is correct, is right, because there is a story behind it. I have just taken the time to give that person the space to tell me that story. So, how can we become better listeners? First point, like I said, that I wanted that space to be heard. Can you do that for someone else? What space do you want to be in when you're expressing? Do you want someone to just listen? Do you want them to nod? Do you want them to give you the silences so that you can express what you're feeling? Do you want them to be non judgmental? Do you want them to be curious? Whatever it is that you think you desire when you're expressing, can you create that space for someone else? So think about it. What is it that you desire when you're expressing? For me, when I am expressing, it's very, very important for me to feel safe. If I'm expressing my point of view, I want you to, without being judgmental, just accept it because that's my reality. And I don't want you to deny my reality. I don't want you to say no, that's not true. And so that's the kind of space that I try to create. Where if someone's expressing, I give them that space to be and to express freely because I know that that's their reality. I may not agree with it, I may not think it's right, but that's their point of view. Can I create that space for them? So, whatever space it is that you can you create that for someone? That's point number one. Second, so there's this really famous book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, और उसमें से जो fifth habit है, that is seek to understand rather than to be understood. हम सुनते क्यों हैं? Why do we listen? Or how do we listen basically? When we're listening to someone or something, what is happening is that the intent basically is that information is coming in, you're processing it, and then you're taking an action. But what is happening right now is that information is coming in and action is being taken place. वो processing part हम miss कर रहे हैं. That processing part is the part of understanding someone. So seek to understand rather than to be understood. And I think this ties to point one, which ties back to my story, right? Why is in the book, why is it written that seek to understand rather than to be understood? Is because everybody wants to be understood. So there is this deep desire in all of us to be understood, but we are not giving that space to the other person to understand them. I genuinely feel like half of our life's problems, in fact, half of the world's problems would be solved if we actually apply this principle of the intent of a conversation to be to understand the other person's point of view. What lens are they looking at the world through? What is their perspective? Why do they think the way that they do? Why are they different from us? How are they different from us? Coming from a place of understanding their lens rather than forcing them to understand ours. Because the point of communication and listening isn't it to find a consensus. So then why is it that you have to be the one, or your point of view has to be the one that has to be accepted? I've sometimes, the situations have happened where I have sat with the intent to understand and have not even, like, the need to be understood is not even there. मुझे फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. Now that I've understood your point of view, my point of view doesn't even make sense because it was coming from a very different place, from a very different route, from a very different angle that is not in alignment with the way that you were thinking. So there is no point of expressing. So get into the mode of listening with the intent of understanding rather than to be understood. Third, be curious. Ask the who, why, what, when, how questions. Get to know the whole story, the whole picture. This one is really interesting. It's actually really helped me because now I view people's lives, people's perspectives, people's point of views as a story. There is this person in front of me, and there is a world around them, and there is a story behind their life, and now I want to know all of it. So why do you think this way? Where does this stem from? If the situation was reversed, what would you do? How would you understand? How would you proceed if circumstances were different? What advice would you give someone who was in the same situation? Get curious, ask questions, dig deep, make make that the whole intent of listening. Make listening an event. For me, it's like reading a book. You know how you read a book and you're going through pages and you're trying to, like, the author is trying to, like, dot connect the dots and there's a story being formed. That's what I do when I'm listening to someone. If there's a point of view, I just don't want to know the point of view. I want to know how you came to that point of view, why you came to that point of view. Would your point of view change if circumstances were different? Like, really go deep into the depth of it. Make it fun, make it interesting for yourself. So the third one is be curious. So these are a few hacks and tricks that I use to change my perspective about listening. And like I said, it's truly changed my life. In a world which is full of people who just want to express, be that one rare friend or that one rare person who wants to listen. And I'm telling you, it will change your life for the better.